right, let's get this set up. Going live on YouTube. Gotta rearrange a few things, make sure it's going on there right. Yeah, welcome to the live YouTube, and I am also going live on Instagram as well. There we go. What's up, Instagram? We are live on Instagram as well as on YouTube. So make sure to go to your preferred format, whatever it may be, and we can chat there. So what I wanted to talk about today is the 2025 Dodge Charger. This thing is wild. There's lots of information that they released today. We still don't have pricing information, but that's okay. There's still so much that we can talk about. So let's go ahead and dive into a few of the things. Trying to pull up some information here on my computer, and it's apparently getting my voice. So yeah, not what I was looking for it to do. Okay, Dodge Charger Daytona. That is the electric version. So that is the version that is going to be coming out first. That will be available only for the first year. I guess not only for the first year. It will be the only model available for the first year. They do have it in the RT model as well as the Scat Pack model. Those are anywhere from 416 horsepower all the way up to 670 horsepower. They are, honestly, it's really confusing, all the different power options that they have just between these two models, because not only do they have the base version of the engine, or drivetrain, not an engine, obviously it's an electric version, but they have power upgrades, which Dodge is familiar with. They've done that before. They have power upgrades that they offer. But in this case, it is through a temporary boost button. You have 15 seconds of power. You have to wait 30 seconds before you can recharge it and do that 15-second boost again. But the first year of the vehicle already comes with the Stage 1 upgrade. So the Dodge Charger Daytona RT will have 496 horsepower on the first year. It will also have the Scat Pack's brakes, which are 16 inches, 6 piston calipers, huge brakes, really a cool setup. However, you also have the Scat Pack model, which will have various power levels as well. The most power it can have is up to 670 horsepower. That will allow it 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, or a quarter-mile speed of 11.5 seconds. The RT is at 4.7 seconds, 0 to 60, and 13.1 in a quarter mile. They top out at 137 or 134 miles per hour, so not extremely fast on the top end, but that is not a terrible thing, because how many people are really going that fast? So it does have a 1-speed variable ratio gear, which is different than the SRT Banshee, which is the high-end model. That one will come with a 2-speed transmission. This one is a single speed, but the ratio is variable. So this looks, honestly, very similar to the old Charger. Really, it doesn't seem like it's changed a significant amount. Anybody who sees one, they're gonna know. But it is offered for the first time in the modern era with a 2-door package, and that will be the only thing that will be available initially. So you have a 2-door electric Dodge Charger Daytona. However, coming next year, you can get the inline-6 Hurricane motor, which will allow for either 420 horsepower or 550 horsepower, depending on the state of tune. This is a motor that you're familiar with that's been on the Jeep Wagoneer. The new Ram 1500 has this motor. So a very familiar motor to anybody who's familiar with Stellantis offerings. So with this new Charger Daytona, the Daytona version is the electric version What the gas-powered version is going to be called is called the 6-pack. This harkens back to when they had 6-barrel carburetors on the Charger way back in the day. So it is a 6-cylinder. It does have obviously a gas-powered motor behind it, which a lot of people are looking forward to. The 4-door version is coming later. That one will give you actually more space than the previous model. It's 5 inches longer than the current Dodge Charger Daytona, 1 inch longer wheelbase, and then also you get, not only do you get more space on the inside, that is one that is going to be coming later. So the 4-door Daytona model, the electric version, that's going to be coming at a later time. And then even after that is where you'll be able to get the gas-powered model. And the 4-door version looks almost identical. However, like I said, it does have a little bit longer profile. The front end obviously a little bit different. But it does still have a traditional transmission tunnel running through the rear seats, which unfortunately does cut into the rear legroom. But they do have to have that for the gas powertrain, because you have to have the transmission run to the rear wheels as well as the front wheels. You can't have a Bluetooth drive shaft, even though everybody at SEMA, that's what they have on their trucks. It's those Bluetooth front drive shafts. But the electric version, obviously they have separate motors, front and rear, so you don't have to worry about that tunnel. But for simplicity's sakes, they just created all of them with the transmission tunnel. Moving down to the inside, they have a 10.25-inch screen as the driver's instrument cluster. However, they are offering an optional 16-inch unit. The center screen is always going to be 12.3 inches. Compared to some of the new vehicles that have just screens everywhere, this is actually really nice that it's not so overwhelming. Yes, it does have a lot of screens, but it does keep it relatively tame. You do have what Dodge calls the attitude adjustment, interior lighting, 64 different color options, and it has a pistol grip shift handle to give it more of that old school feel, because really Dodge is trading on a lot of retro cues to sell these things. But unfortunately, there is only an electric version the first year. One thing I forgot to talk about out of all the things to talk about on the video I did on TikTok, if you're on there, check it out. It's like 4.5 minutes, and I still didn't even talk about the range on the electric vehicle, which, I mean, that's what everybody talks about. It is a 400-volt architecture. We know the SRT Banshee is going to be based on an 800-volt architecture. Hopefully that keeps the price down a little bit, being the 400-volt architecture. You have a 100 kilowatt hour battery, where 93.9 kilowatt hours is actually usable. But the range is anywhere from 310 miles on the RT model or 260 miles on the Scat Pack model. So the Scat Pack being obviously a little bit less in range, but obviously has more power to it. And putting that power down, obviously you do have an all-wheel drive system, but you do have some crazy big tires. On the Daytona, you have 275 all the way around. On the Scat Pack model, you have 305s in the front and 325s in the rear, which is bigger than the SRT 170 Demon, which is crazy. That's absurd. That's huge tires. I remember my 94 Dodge Viper had 335 width tires. Crazy to think that it gets any bigger than that. And this is a basic everyday commuter sedan in a way, where you have 325 width tires. Really cool. But helping put down that power is its weight. 5,838 pounds. No small amount. That's honestly, that's pretty crazy. It's 1,200 pounds heavier than the most heavy version of the SRT Hellcat. So it is not going to be nimble on its feet. It does have a mechanical limited slip differential, which is really cool, mechanical rather than electronic. But this thing is going to be, it's going to have some presence. We talked about how much longer it is. The 4-door version is 5 inches longer than the current 4-door Charger. However, the width, it is 1.5 feet wider than the current Charger. It's wider than the wide body. Sorry, 1.5 feet wider than the wide body version. So that is a very large vehicle. The base model, they haven't given us much information about that other than it's going to have 335 horsepower or 300 pound-feet of torque. So not a significant amount of power standard, especially the torque number being fairly low for a electric vehicle. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to let me know on what you have on the new 2025 Dodge Charger, because there's honestly a lot to cover. Like I said, no pricing yet, but that's okay. There's still a lot to talk about. So the gas-powered model is all-wheel drive as well. And here's the crazy thing. We've talked about how it's all-wheel drive. What do you like to do with a Dodge Charger? You like to spin the rear tires, and that is most prevalent in all the sideshows that go on at these, offshoots of these car meets. Don't want to say they're associated with the car meets, because they're not. But those sideshows, you see them whipping those Chargers around, and have no fear, the sideshows will continue. You can shift up to 100% of the power on the electric version to the rear wheels. There is all sorts of different modes on this. They do have a donut mode, so you can spin donuts. They have a line lock on the transmission. Obviously, it's not necessarily a transmission, but they have a line lock, so you can do big, smoky burnouts with this electric Dodge Charger. So really cool that you can do that. They do have a race prep mode, which will precondition the battery for different race modes. You also have a drag mode, so you can get this thing ready to go. There's all sorts of different modes that you have available, and like I said, you can still do burnouts with this new electric Dodge Charger. So all those that were worried, don't worry. Of course, the question was brought up, is there going to be a V8? And it was shut down and said, no V8 in the plan, at least at this point in time. And I think it's going to stay that way for a while, especially since Dodge has kind of shut down all their V8 production. It would be cool if they did kind of limited run, top of the line model for, a short time or a small amount of vehicles, similar to like what they did with the SRT 170 Demon. But for now, it looks like no V8, but can't say I'm really surprised that that is the case. Of course, with any new vehicle, it has standard driver assist, forward collision alert with automatic braking, adaptive cruise control, traffic sign recognition, lane keep assist, blind spot detection, and drowsy driver detection. So, got all those. You do have an optional heads-up display and the Uconnect 5 system, which is really cool. It actually offers TomTom navigation, which, that's a throwback. You don't hear about TomTom anymore, but if you're in your 30s like I am, you know TomTom as, one of the first navigation systems that you could stick on your dash before phones had navigation everywhere. All right, so we've kind of covered, I think, everything on the Charger thus far. Like I said, we'll get pricing closer to the on-sale date, but I will make sure to keep an eye on this live video and say, if you are here on YouTube, feel free to drop a comment, and I will make sure to get to those questions that you have based on this new Dodge Charger, all the differences, all the things that we know about it thus far. So Make sure to stay tuned to the YouTube channel. I do have a video going live today in about 2 hours, and it's about whether my Audi R8 V8 is a supercar. So make sure to check that out, and I appreciate everybody that hopped on the live, whether on Instagram or over here on YouTube. So shout out to you all, and I will just catch you on the next one.